As you may know, I like to cover fairly obscure systems. Indeed, some people in the comments have stated they're a little frustrated with the little information I sometimes have. Well, to those people, I can only apologise about this video on the Interfield Systems Limelight 2020. And here we are. This is it in its closed state, Personal Workstation Limelight 2020. Made by Interfield Systems. It's a bit of a mouthful. There's even more titles in there as well when we get inside. This one's got a bit of paint scraped on it and stuff, so it's been through the wars, but I suggest that just means it's well used. If we look at the various bits around it, again we'll see this in a minute when I open it up. Hopefully I've remembered to do B-roll for most of this, but we'll see. So yeah, we've got our 3.5-inch floppy drive on the side here and a blanking slate, so you can have a second one in there. Quite impressive really in a machine of this size. A earphone socket, sorry, so you can plug in headphones. Yeah, it's got this inbuilt sound, we'll talk about that in a minute though. And there's a microphone socket at the back here as well. If we go to the back, really hope that I got the B-roll on this one because there's no way you're going to see this. But anyway, this is a mouse port here, and these are two RS-232 serial ports. This is a printer port, and then we've got a telephone socket, so one to put the telephone in and one to actually connect to the line so you can have a pass-through. And this seems to turn off the pass-through, so maybe it's to stop people from being able to disrupt your internet connection or something. Now this giant port here is an HDD, external HDD port, so no idea what that pinout is. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen, but there may be something standard. I need to look it up more. Yeah, so a standard figure 8 power lead, a jolly little red on-off button. I do like it when they're not just bland colours. And here's our information, Limelight 2020, and all the information for this is hertz, 0.7 amps, and yeah, various bits of information. On the right is a little bit more interesting. Left, right, well, anyway, on one side. So we have an expansion bay, and it's almost impossible to see inside this, but there are actually two connectors. There's one big long connector right at the back, and you can see plastic standoffs so the cards can slide in. And there's a smaller one here with a plastic standoff itself. So that's obviously for some two different types of add-on. Don't know what they are, don't know what they did. Can't find anything that would go into them. Don't know if it even existed. Who knows? Yeah, and we're back at the front, and yeah, this is the carrying handle, which I can probably get back in. There we go. Right, let's move this back a little bit, just so when we pull the keyboard down, the keyboard is just friction held, so you can just pull it off like that, and out it comes. The keyboard cable kind of rests in this little well here, and the screen, there we go, just tilts out like that, so you can kind of get a nice angle, and yeah, it's a lovely little machine. Yeah, so here's Interfield, the Interfield Solutions logo. Yeah, it's got Kimura here. I don't know if that's been added on by someone else, or if maybe it's their name or something, I don't know. Yeah, the Limelight 2020 model number, flex and stuff here. Yeah, so we've got a contrast wheel on the side, a volume also, because it's got a built-in speaker right here, power LED, yeah, some information, so LCD backlighting, micro floppy disk drive, 5-inch disc in nowadays parlance, voice talking generator. Yeah, it's got some kind of chip to do with a dictionary and voices and stuff. I haven't got that working, more to explain later on. I think you know the drill by now with some of my obscure stuff. A built-in dictionary ROM, yeah, so it's both a voice dictionary and also a word dictionary if you use word processors. It looks like there could be something that's snapped on here, so maybe you have a keyboard overlay style thing, and I don't know what that is, some kind of reset button maybe or something, but it's indented anyway. Yeah, so there it is. It's kind of a nice, interesting form factor, isn't it? We'll power it on. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the screen. I'll do the best I can. I may have to require turning down a lot of the light in here just so you can see anything on the screen, but we'll find out. Sometimes the camera can see better than I can, so who knows? Right, there you go. The light levels should have almost completely changed for you. So hopefully you can read that now. I think I think we're focused on that. We'll try to improve the focus. It's hard to tell on the tiny screen I have, but I think that's in focus now. Anyway, if it's not, it just basically says ROM BIOS version 1.04, January 0587. Disk not ready, set disk and strike any key when ready. So yeah, well, that's our first, obviously, we haven't really talked about those kind of things because there's not much information. So that's our first bit of clue about when this was made. So the BIOS is 1987, which is more or less where we think this is based. So 86, 87, 88. So obviously 87, 88 is more like, well, definite. It's unlikely they put a future date on. Anyway, we can put this disc, which is the only disc I own. Can you? I don't think you'll be able to see that at all. Yeah, so this is literally the only disc we own, which is a super word, but it is an MS-DOS boot disc, so it does help us. Now, if I push any key, that will hopefully boot. There we go. So there we have an MS-DOS 2.11 banner popped up. Probably just heard you may have heard the microphone just kicked in, and that's because it's loaded the voice driver for this thing. We don't get the opportunity to try that because we don't really have any software to do it, unless it's buried in this disk in Japanese, and I don't know it. So it's in Japanese, but it's the standard MS-DOS date and time prompts. So we can just push through there like that. It thinks it's 2040, but well, presumably it's not. Right, so we do a standard dir/W, and once the blurriness stops, there you go. We've got it's MS-DOS. Now, we can try so that we can load something up. We can load up Superword at least. That's loadable. And it's like a kind of a standard word processing package of the era. I think it's actually called New. I think the actual software is called New Word. It's just been rebranded for this. I'm basing that solely on what pops up. So yeah, there we go. It's a Japanese menu. I think you can probably translate it easily enough. There's files that it looks like that it grabs all this data from, so it was built to be multinational. Yeah, but there's, I think D opens up a document. Yeah, it's kind of handy. It gives you the list of files here, so we can open up sample 2. Oh no, hold on, that key didn't work. Sample 2 .doc. The keyboard, by the way, is quite spongy, but it's not terrible. It's certainly not the worst keyboard I've ever used. So there we go. It's loaded it up. Yeah, there's just a bunch of sample docs which just have bits of stories in there. So yeah, maybe you can read that. It's not important either way. Anyhow, that's basically all I've got on this machine. I've got no software in there. The file format is, so the disk structure appears to be the same as PC98, but the actual, the disk format, so how it's, how the file recognizes stuff, isn't the same as PC98, and it's not the same as MS-DOS. So whilst this is an MS-DOS compatible machine, it's not compatible in the sense that you can take a disk from here and put it into a standard PC or vice versa. It doesn't work. I obviously tried that. It doesn't work at all. They're two differences. And whilst the structure is similar enough to PC98 that I was able to build a copy of this disk just to make sure, and also put obviously an archive up on archive.org, it's not similar enough that I can inject files in or take files off. I could, weirdly enough, extract the whole disk using virtual file copy changer, whatever it's called, VFC anyway. But that doesn't help me because it can't do the reverse process, so I can't add files to see what I can run, which is a shame because we don't really know a huge amount about this machine. I might take it apart at some point. I don't want to yet. The thing is, with these kind of machines, where they're compact and built for portability, they also tend to be trickier to take apart because everything's kind of crammed in. So I want to be a bit careful because it is. I want to learn more about it before I accidentally break it. Anyway, let's get some more light in the situation, and we will work out. We'll talk a little bit about what we do know and what we don't know. Right, that's a bit more light, so we can we can discuss this. If I just eject this disc and we'll just put it there. So that's our. You can see that. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's in better light. There's our super word disc. Actually, the better light might not help at all. But anyway, yeah, that's our one disc we've got. So we did manage to make a backup of it using a PC98.2 HD structure on a grease weasel, but yeah, that's doesn't help us get files or put files on. So we couldn't put any more files on to load. I'm going to try to work out some way of doing it. I guess I can try to make some kind of serial way of doing it, because we can absolutely get MS-DOS to read from serial without having to have any special software. I haven't done it in many years, but I'm sure it's possible. So maybe that's the way to get around this and to sort this out. But anyway, this is a bit of probably much lower quality audio. Just to say, we lost a bit of audio because of some editing issues, and quite an important bit probably. The Limelight isn't actually a portable system in the sense you can use it on the road. It's got no internal power, so it's a portable office for you to take from point to point and to use it there. Yeah, just a very small but I think quite important thing to say. Actually, just working this out from sources I've found, so I could be wrong, but it definitely a lot of stuff appears to be based on some very interesting things, which are then disproved by other stuff. So Interfield themselves, a few people call Limelight the company, but it's not. There is a Limelight company, but they're something to do with film or something. Interfield Systems themselves, they appear to be an American company with a Japanese office, and they began by making machines based on Hitachi's Basic Master system. So we've covered a couple of Basic Master computers, and they made reproductions of the later ones of those, the S1 series. Now, a lot of people believe that they were an Hitachi subsidiary because of that, because they had Hitachi on the back. I don't think they were. I think the Hitachi's on the back because they licensed the technology from Hitachi, and that was part of the stipulation. The reason why I believe this is because this is the machine they made after that, which is absolutely incompatible with all Hitachi stuff, which would be a bit of a weird thing for them to do if they were an Hitachi subsidiary. And also they appear to have had their own life and their own death, and there's literally no other stuff out there about them ever being an Hitachi subsidiary. Although, again, there's not huge information about them anyway, so yeah, I might be wrong, but it just feels like they weren't an Hitachi subsidiary. They just licensed the technology from them. Yeah, if you go onto like search like Wikipedia, which is not a great source, obviously someone accused me of using that for for all of my stuff. I don't. I look at Wikipedia to find other sources and then to use multiple sources to check the information if multiple sources are available, which is the way you should use Wikipedia. But the one bit about this machine on Wikipedia is when they're talking about the S1 systems, and they go through and they explain what the S1 clones were, and then the last sentence of that paragraph is they also made this machine, which was different. That's basically it. That's literally the information from this machine. There might be some more in Japanese. This is always the problem with these machines. Sometimes there are pages that just aren't ever translated, and Google can't find the information on them because of that. So I don't, Japanese is not my native language, so I have no way of really searching properly for that. I try a few things like converting some of the search phrases to Japanese using Google Translate, but again, you never know if that's going to work. You don't know how good those translations are. So yeah, I mean, if anyone does have more information about this, I'm always willing to be informed and corrected, as long as you do it politely. Remember, I'm just searching for this stuff myself. I'm trying to work out because I'm enthusiastic about these machines. I don't need to get rude just because you know something I don't. Just tell me what it is. But yeah, there is somebody on Twitter received a boxed version of this with all the software and the manuals, and they said they were going to put that information up on archive. They don't seem to have done that. I tried to get in contact with them, I've not got a response, so I'm hoping they're going to be doing that. It's obviously not a quick job to do all that kind of stuff, so I'm hoping that they're still planning on doing that, and it'll be interesting to have that stuff available, because these, you know, it's an interesting machine. It may not have, you know, made any massive difference to the industry, but it's still an interesting machine we should know more about, because it's always a shame when these things get lost. Anyway, that's the Interfield Systems Limelight 2020. Quite an interesting machine. I'm hoping you agree. Let's go to the wrap up. So there we have it, another obscure system with less information than I'd like to show off. It's an interesting system though, kind of bridging that luggable and portable areas, whilst not really being a portable system as such, apart from the fact that you can move it around, obviously. Obviously, if I get any more information or if I get any more software, I'll do a follow-up video. It's not looking likely, like I say, still no word back from anyone that I've seen that have got any of these bits of software. Nothing on archive.org apart from what I've uploaded, so who knows. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit like. If you really like this video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video, or in fact for any other reason, then please leave it in the comments below. And please do comment, because YouTube only seems to really push videos that just have people literally interacting with it. Anyway, see you next time.
The present is horrible, the future looks bleak. Remember our childhood to get us through the week. We're getting re-enthused.